right, let's dive in. Today we're taking those excerpts you sent from Herman Hesse's Siddhartha and really unpacking them.
Excellent choice.
It's a story that's always fascinated me, and I'm super curious to get your take on it.
Well, it's a story that really explores that timeless search for meaning that we all kind of struggle with.
Yeah.
We see this young man, Siddhartha, and he's from this high caste Brahmin family.
Oh, like a really privileged background.
Exactly, like a priestly or scholarly class.
Okay.
And he has everything going for him. He's intelligent, he's privileged. Everyone adores him. But
Actually, his best friend, Govinda, right?
oh, absolutely. Govinda's practically worships the ground Siddhartha walks on. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Even with all that, Siddhartha feels this deep emptiness inside. He's going through the motions of religious life, studying the sacred texts like the Upanishads.
Which are kind of like ancient philosophical dialogues, right?
Exactly. And, the Upanishads even offer this powerful idea that your soul is the whole world.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty profound.
You'd think that'd be enough, right?
Yeah.
But Siddhartha doesn't see anyone actually embodying that wisdom. So he's a seeker. He wants more than just the words.
So this is where the restlessness starts to come in.
Exactly.
Like I can sense a big decision brewing.
Absolutely. So he and Govinda, they decide to ditch their comfortable life and join the samanas.
The samanas.
These wandering ascetics who practice extreme self-denial.
Whoa. Okay, self-denial, we're talking, how extreme are we talking here?
Like imagine fasting for weeks on end, mastering breath control to an insane degree.
Wow.
They even push their minds to die into the forms of animals in nature.
Great. Dying into animals. I mean, I get the concept.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It is.
I can't imagine giving up all the good stuff in life. Don't they miss, food and comfort, and wouldn't mastering all that mean that they've reached some kind of enlightenment?
That's the question Siddhartha's wrestling with. He becomes incredibly skilled at these practices, even better than, most of the samanas. But he starts to realize it's just a temporary escape from his sense of self, not a true solution. So he's still searching for that deeper understanding.
Okay, so this search for deeper understanding leads them to a really pivotal moment, the arrival of the Buddha.
Yes.
I'm picturing news of this incredible teacher just spreading like wildfire.
Exactly. And as you might expect, Govinda is immediately drawn to the Buddha's teachings.
Yeah.
But Siddhartha hesitates.
Really?
It's almost like he intuitively understands what the Buddha has achieved.
Interesting.
But also he sees the limitations of just simply following teachings.
Huh.
So
what happens when they finally meet the Buddha?
Well,
Is it a showdown?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Siddhartha is incredibly respectful, but he challenges the idea that enlightenment can be given or taught through words and doctrines.
Okay.
It's a super nuanced conversation.
Yeah.
And to really prove his point, Siddhartha actually hypnotizes a senior samana,
Whoa.
showing that he's already mastered a lot of these mental disciplines.
So it's he's saying you can't just download enlightenment like a software program.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
He seems to believe that it's the lived experience, the individual journey that truly leads to understanding.
Okay.
And this difference in thinking is a huge turning point for both friends.
So this must be where Govinda is getting really confused.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's his best friend is rejecting this seemingly clear path to enlightenment.
Yeah, Govinda is heartbroken. He can't fathom why Siddhartha wouldn't seize this opportunity.
Yeah.
And, it's a moment that a lot of readers, I think, can relate to because we're so often conditioned to believe that wisdom comes from external sources.
From teachers and experts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Siddhartha's journey seems to suggest a different path.
And that path seems to lead him away from both the Buddha and Govinda.
Yeah.
Talk about a turning point.
Big time.
Where does Siddhartha's journey take him next?
Well, that's a story for our next part.
We're back on Siddhartha's journey, and things are about to get really interesting. Remember we were exploring how his path really challenges our usual ideas about wisdom and enlightenment.
Absolutely.
And last time we left off with him kind of striking out on his own, leaving behind the comfort of his old life, and even his best friend, Govinda.
It's a huge turning point.
Yeah.
He dives headfirst into the world, embracing all those experiences he'd previously rejected.
Right.
He learns about love and desire, the power of wealth.
Wait, hold up. Love and desire.
Yeah.
I thought he was all about self-denial.
Right.
What happened to the Siddhartha who was fasting in the forest?
He's exploring a completely different side of himself. You know, he
Right.
becomes the successful merchant. He learns the art of seduction from a courtesan named Kamala,
Oh, wow.
and he really gets a taste of what the material world has to offer.
Okay, so it's like he's gone from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
But does he actually find what he's looking for?
Not quite. You know, despite all the success and pleasure,
Yeah.
Siddhartha finds himself feeling that familiar emptiness again.
Yeah.
But even deeper this time.
Oh, no.
And he realizes that worldly indulgence isn't the answer either.
Wow, so he's tried the spiritual extremes with the samanas,
Right.
and now the worldly extremes,
Exactly.
and neither one has brought him fulfillment.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Does he just give up?
Well, he comes pretty close, actually.
Really?
He contemplates suicide by a river.
Oh, wow.
It's a dark moment, but a crucial one.
Yeah.
Imagine him standing by that river, his life, feeling like this once beautiful garment now faded and worn out.
Mm.
He's disgusted by the emptiness of his pursuits.
That image of the faded garment is so powerful. It's like all the color and vibrancy have been drained away.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of those times when you look back on choices you've made and just feel this sense of like disillusionment.
Absolutely.
So how does he pull himself back from the brink?
He falls into a deep sleep by the river and wakes up transformed.
Mm.
It's not like a magical solution or anything,
Okay.
but a turning point. He decides to embrace a new path, one that really embraces the simplicity and wisdom of nature.
So this is where he becomes a ferryman, right?
Exactly.
Talk about a radical shift
Feel, right?
from wealthy merchant to a guy who rows people across a river.
Yeah, it's a profound change.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's no longer trying to escape the world through self-denial or lose himself in worldly pursuits.
Okay.
Instead, he's learning from the river itself.
So the river becomes his teacher.
In a way,
Yeah.
how does that even work?
Well, think of it this way. The river embodies that constant flow of life and change.
Okay.
You know, it's a symbol of impermanence,
You're right.
a key concept in Buddhist thought.
Yeah.
Siddhartha learns to observe the river,
Yeah.
listen to its rhythms, and understand that everything is interconnected and constantly changing.
Okay, that's starting to click for me.
Good.
So by immersing himself in nature, he's opening himself up to a different kind of wisdom.
Yeah.
One that goes beyond words and doctrines.
It's like he's finally found a way to really live that idea from the Upanishads. Your soul is the whole world.
Precisely. But even with this newfound wisdom, Siddhartha's journey isn't without its challenges.
Oh, wow.
He experiences the joys and sorrows of love and fatherhood
Okay.
when his son, who has been raised in luxury,
Yeah.
comes to live with him.
Oh, so this must be where that whole idea of attachment comes in.
Yeah.
I'm guessing things don't go smoothly with his son.
You're right. Siddhartha loves his son deeply. But the young man rejects his father's simple way of life
Oh, wow.
and yearns for those material comforts that he's accustomed to.
Oh, that's got to be heartbreaking.
It is.
Seeing your child reject everything you believe in.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if Siddhartha is supposedly enlightened. Why is he struggling with this so much?
Well, it highlights that enlightenment isn't about becoming emotionless
Right.
or detached from the world.
Okay.
It's about learning to navigate those experiences with wisdom and compassion.
So Siddhartha isn't magically immune to pain and suffering.
Not at all. He experiences the full spectrum of human emotions, but he learns to approach them with a different mindset.
Okay, so what happens with his son? Does Siddhartha manage to pass on his wisdom?
He tries, but ultimately he has to let go.
Mm.
His son chooses to return to that world of material desires, and Siddhartha is left to grapple with the pain of that separation.
I bet that's a tough pill to swallow,
Yeah.
especially after he tried so hard to shield his son from the kind of emptiness he himself experienced.
Right.
This reminds me of what you were saying before about impermanence.
Mm-hmm.
Even the strongest attachments, like the love between a parent and child, are subject to change.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of a heavy realization.
It is, but it's also a crucial part of Siddhartha's journey.
Yeah.
He goes through this period of intense grief, even revisiting the pleasure garden where he first met Kamala.
Wow.
You know, he sees all the choices he's made, the paths he's taken, the consequences that followed.
Sounds like he's coming full circle, facing the shadows of his past.
Yeah.
What does he learn from this experience?
Well, he has this vision of his own father
Mm.
who endured that same pain when Siddhartha left to become a samana.
Oh, wow.
And this realization that the cycle of attachment and loss continues, that suffering is an inherent part of life,
Yeah.
leads to a profound shift within him.
Okay.
He begins to understand that true wisdom isn't about avoiding pain,
Right.
but about accepting it, about learning from it.
That's a deep lesson.
It is.
And it makes me think about how we often try to avoid uncomfortable emotions.
Yeah.
But maybe like Siddhartha, we need to learn to sit with those feelings and see what they can teach us.
Exactly. And this acceptance, this surrender to the flow of life is what finally brings Siddhartha a sense of peace.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how Siddhartha's journey is about so much more than just finding enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the whole human experience with all its complexities and contradictions.
Absolutely. And speaking of contradictions, guess who reappears at this critical juncture?
I have a feeling it's Govinda.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how their paths have diverged
Yeah.
and if they'll find any common ground after all these years.
Well, stay tuned for part 3.
Okay, so we're back with Siddhartha, and it sounds like things have come full circle.
They have.
Govinda, his old friend, is back in the picture.
Yeah.
After all these years of following the Buddha's teachings.
Right.
What a reunion this must be.
It is, but it also really highlights how differently their paths have unfolded.
Yeah.
Remember, we're exploring what it really means to gain wisdom and enlightenment.
Right.
And Govinda, despite his years of dedicated study and practice, he's still searching for answers. He's heard whispers of Siddhartha's wisdom, and he seeks him out.
Okay.
Hoping to finally find that missing piece.
It's fascinating that even after all this time,
Yeah.
Govinda is still seeking. It makes me think about how the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, it can be a lifelong journey.
It is.
Not a destination you just arrive at.
Absolutely.
But here's the funny thing.
What's that?
When they first meet, Govinda doesn't even recognize his old friend.
It speaks volumes about Siddhartha's transformation.
Right.
He's no longer that bright-eyed young man who left home in search of enlightenment.
Yeah.
You know, he's lived through joy, sorrow, love, loss, success, failure.
Wow.
He's embraced the full spectrum of human experience.
And that's got to be a pretty stark contrast to Govinda.
Oh, yeah?
Who spent years in a more structured monastic environment.
Right.
I imagine Govinda is eager to learn Siddhartha's secret.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what's the doctrine? What's the practice? Give me the cheat code to enlightenment.
But Siddhartha, true to his nature, rejects the very idea of doctrines and cheat codes. You know, he's learned from so many sources, the Samanas, Kamala, the river, even the Buddha himself.
Right.
But he hasn't clung to anyone teaching.
So how does he explain this to Govinda,
Well,
who's so used to following a set path?
he tries to explain that wisdom can't be communicated through words alone. He even says something like, wisdom is not communicable. The wisdom which a wise man tries to communicate always sounds foolish.
That's a really interesting point.
It is.
I'm wondering if words aren't enough. How do you share wisdom?
Right.
It's like trying to describe the taste of chocolate to someone who's never had it before.
Yeah.
You can try, but words only go so far.
Exactly.
So how does Siddhartha try to bridge that gap?
Through direct experience, he encourages Govinda to move beyond intellect and language. You know, he tells him to listen to the river, to observe the world with an open heart.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about accumulating knowledge,
Right.
but about cultivating a way of being in the world.
Absolutely.
It's about opening yourself up to experience and letting wisdom emerge from that.
Exactly. And then comes this really pivotal moment.
Okay.
Siddhartha asks Govinda to kiss him on the forehead.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
A kid? I'm not sure I saw that coming.
It's a simple gesture, but incredibly profound.
Yeah.
And through that act of connection, something shifts for Govinda.
Okay.
He experiences this vision of unity, the eternal cycle of life and death, the interconnectedness of all things.
Wow.
It's the same kind of deep understanding that he once glimpsed in the Buddha.
Right.
But now he's experiencing it directly through Siddhartha.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
It's like Siddhartha is transmitting his wisdom not through teachings or explanations, but through a direct lived experience.
Right.
Have you ever had an experience that transcended words?
Yeah.
A moment of insight that couldn't be explained but was deeply felt.
Absolutely.
This reminds me of those moments when you connect with someone on such a deep level that words just seem to melt away.
It's a beautiful example of how wisdom can sometimes be conveyed through feeling and presence, rather than intellectual concepts.
It challenges us to think about what true wisdom really means.
Yeah.
Is it something you learn from books or teachers,
Yeah.
or is it something you cultivate through lived experience?
Exactly.
Through direct encounters with the world and with yourself. What resonates most with you, listener?
And as we wrap up our deep dive into Siddhartha, perhaps the biggest takeaway is this.
Yeah.
The path to wisdom is unique for each individual.
Hmm.
You know, it's not about blindly following someone else's teachings,
Right.
but about being open to learning from every experience, every encounter, every moment.
We've followed Siddhartha on this incredible journey,
Yeah.
from a restless seeker to a wise ferryman.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him embrace both the spiritual and the worldly,
Right.
confront his deepest fears and desires,
Absolutely.
and ultimately find peace in the acceptance of life's flow.
It's a beautiful story.
What a powerful reminder that true enlightenment isn't about escaping the world, but about embracing it fully.
So as you go about your day, listener,
Yeah.
we encourage you to be curious, to be open,
Mm.
to seek wisdom, not just in books and teachings,
Right.
but in the everyday moments of your own life.
Ask yourself, what experiences have shaped my understanding of the world?
Yeah.
Where have I found true wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
Not through words, but through direct experience.
Exactly.
What lessons is my own life trying to teach me?
That's fiction.
Keep exploring those questions. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive.